The 14th year of Chenghua. Chapter 119. Layers of progress, facing off with the enemy. And the footman, Suzhou. Xiao Wu didn't want to die. Furthermore, she didn't want to die for Chen Luan or be buried with him, else she wouldn't be swaying back and forth between betraying him or not. And then this moment came. Seeing the blades coming in at 3 angles, she subconsciously shrieked, tightly gripped Tang Fan's clothes and hid behind him. The 3 persons' offensive power didn't slow at all because of that, and they had their eyes on her only. With no mishaps, Tang Fan would die alongside her beneath the blades, once and for all. With this all happening so quickly, no one on the main street could react in time, all of them even forgetting to scream. Xiao Wu couldn't move, her eyes blown wide. This did not at all destroy her charming air, the frightened beauty instead able to arouse protective instincts, but no one could care about appreciating her charms right now. Everyone was rigid, only able to follow the direction of the glinting blades, witness to a scene of imminent bloodshed and death. The blade coming down over Xiao Wu's head stopped. The wind it kicked up swept across her hair, making it flutter. The assassin was quite surprised, too. He hadn't expected for his attack to be blocked, and at the same time, he felt a sharp pain coming from his wrist. Looking down, he saw half of his own hand get sliced off evenly from his wrist, flying off into the air along with his saber. Blood splashed out, staining Xiao Wu's clothes, and she screamed yet again. The other 2 individuals faced the same situation, not even able to tell how it had happened. One attacker was sent flying high, then crashing into a small candy peddler's stall at the roadside, smashing it into pieces. Thankfully, the peddler had quickly seen an opportunity and had long since fled, so he was not drawn in. The other assassin thought to draw back upon seeing his companion fail, but before he could turn around, a spring-gilt saber had already pierced through his back. The final act he had in life was to lower his head and see its blood-stained tip shining in the sunlight. 3 assassins that came from 3 directions all had been dealt with in the blink of an eye. Dihan drew his saber out of the assassin's body. The expression on his face was as collected as ever. He even leaned over to wipe off his bloodied blade on the other's clothes before he walked over to the assassin that had crushed the stall. Facing this Yama that killed without hesitation, even the assassin became terrified. He couldn't get up, only able to watch the other approach step by step, moving backwards in a panic while shouting in a false show of bravado, "Don't get near me! Don't you get near me!" Right then, the people on the street seemed to get jostled, as screams sounded out in all directions. Following a bout of turmoil, a half-li area around Tang Fan and Dihan's group was quickly vacated. Dihan walked over to heft the man up, then unhinged his jaw without a word to prevent him from biting on any poison hidden in his teeth. Tang Fan patted Xiao Wu on the shoulder, causing her to subconsciously shudder. She wasn't sure if she had been frightened by the assassins or cowed by Dihan's straightforward killing methods, as she hadn't been able to come back to herself for a long time. Seeing as much, Tang Fan exchanged a glance with Dihan. The previous poisoning had been their handiwork, but these assassins had not been arranged by Tang Fan. The latter had anticipated that once Chen Luan noticed that Xiao Wu was slow to send word back, he would do something. He just hadn't expected that the other would be anxious enough to send out assassins. That at least expressed one thing: her role really wasn't minor, and she had to know something of his private matters, at the bare minimum, to the extent that after feeling that she might betray him, he couldn't wait to silence her. The 3 assassins that Chen Luan had sent had clearly been top picks. Had Dihan not been here and an ordinary bodyguard was around instead, he would have likely been overwhelmed by them. Who could have known that the unremarkable-looking Dihan was actually the commander of the Northern Administrative Court Division in disguise? Also, were Chen Luan to learn that Tang Fan had been waiting for him to try to kill Xiao Wu, would he have regrets until his insides turned green? Ever since Tang Fan had stepped foot into Jiangsu's realm, the 2 parties had been destined to set up a game. Chen Luan had not believed that Tang Fan would be such a huge threat to him. Had he known that the other responded to neither coercion nor bribes, wouldn't accept beauties and didn't seek wealth, he likely would have strangled the threat in its cradle back when he had been on the ship. That 1,000 gold couldn't buy much was long known. "Awu, are you all right? Let's go back first, then talk about it," Tang Fan softly consoled upon seeing that she was scared stiff, wanting to bring her away. She just clutched firmly to his clothes, refusing to let go. "And no. We can't go back. They'll definitely send someone else." He laughed. "Look at how scared you are. I told you earlier that Dihan is pretty powerful. I'm not afraid of getting assassinated, so why are you?" Xiao Wu finally crumbled. "They didn't come to kill you, they came to kill me." "What?" he asked in astonishment. "Awu, did the fear make you lose your sense? You're a mere woman, why would they kill you? I'm the only one going against Chenluan. I ought to be the one he wants to kill." She shook her head desperately, sobs within her voice. "Take me away from here. I have the grains registry, I have it. It will help you take down Chenluan with no room for him to recover." Due to fear, she was almost bodily climbing up on him. Dihan frowned slightly seeing this, stepping forth and pushing her away. She stared blankly at him, unable to respond. Mouth twitching, Tang Fan reminded him, "Put your saber away. Don't scare Awu." If he scared someone so important stupid by shoving her all the time, where would they find another one? Dihan's cold gaze swept over Xiao Wu. The latter shrunk back from his staring, leaning in towards Tang Fan, who hugged her. "We won't go back to the post house. I'll take you somewhere safer so that no one can attack you," he said softly, then turned to instruct Dihan, "Clean all this up. Soldiers will probably be here soon. Give that stall owner some compensation money while you're at it. His stall getting smashed up for no reason is quite pitiful." Dihan felt like the other was retaliating for what had happened last night, but well, who made Commander Sui take on his current identity of Gonfalon did? He could only watch the back of the other two silently, draw out some silver to toss onto the candy peddler's stall, then drag the two passed out assassins into bitterly following behind him. The place Tang Fan brought Xiao Wu to was none other than the local post of the Jinyue. Zhang Qinhu quickly greeted them himself. When he saw Dihan behind Tang Fan, he got several magnitudes more enthusiastic, chatted them up, and cordially accompanied them, falling just short of serving them tea himself. By his orders, the assassins were promptly taken by the Jinyue to be dealt with. Even though Tang Fan's group knew why they had come for them, if more things could be pried out of them, Chen Luan could instead be charged with the crime of trying to assassinate an imperial ambassador. "This humble official worried that I would interfere with your work, sir, which is why I never came to visit you after you came to Suzhou. Please forgive me," Zhang Qinhu said. "You're too polite, Zhang Qinhu," Tang Fan answered with a smile. "We were the ones to disturb your peace actually, and now I'm having to trouble you. Commander Sui is far off in the capital, but he has repeatedly brought up your valor in doing your tasks, intelligence, and capabilities." Zhang Qinhu gave a few glances towards Suzhou, who was being mute, and his smile grew brighter. "You've overpraised me, Master Tang. This humble official dares not accept. This is all thanks to the Jinyue commander's proper leadership. After former commanding envoy Yuan Bin had stepped down, he had passed almost all of the forces hand-reared by himself over to Suzhou. Combining them with Suzhou's own confidants, he had turned into a hidden competitor to the current commanding officer, Wan Tong. The Jinyue of today was split into two factions, one was headed by Wan Tong and the other was loyal to Suzhou. For that reason, despite the Jinyue still being the Jinyue, the people subordinating to those two needed to pick a side, making it far less calm than it was on the surface. Zhang Qinhu happened to be on Suzhou's side. The main man coming in person was a rare opportunity, so he had to spend extra effort. Tang Fan chatted with him for a bit, then left Dihan and Zhang Qinhu behind to speak while he brought Xiao Wu into the courtyard and prepared for them to rest. Wu, are you better now? Do you want me to find a doctor for you? Not a single word of his brought up the grains registry, instead asking after her health, first. She shook her head, yet looking shaken. She held onto his sleeve with one hand, like she would only feel a little relieved when doing that. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Whatever you want to say, you can just say it, he comforted, pouring her a cup of tea. Holding the cup, Xiao Wu finally, slowly calmed down, the warmth going from her palms and into the bones of her limbs. She took in a deep breath. Master, I've actually been deceiving you this whole time. She wasn't an idiot. Contrarily, she was very intelligent and have the astuteness of a young woman. Chen Luan wouldn't have sent her to enchant Tang Fan otherwise. Also, due to her confidence in her own good looks, she had failed to see the full picture, having felt all this time that she would be able to complete this task smoothly. Now that the situation had gotten out of hand, she had been thinking, and felt that confessing everything to Tang Fan might be the best course of action. Hearing this, instead of looking surprised or angry, Tang Fan just calmly smiled. Deceived me about what? She was astonished. You already know. I didn't know that you had the grains registry on you. He didn't know that, but he had long known that Chen Luan had sent her. So, him accompanying her had been a long ploy. He had long taken her for a fool, being insincere while laughing at his own jokes. Seeing her face flash green and white, he said in understanding, you don't need to think too hard. Since you refused to reveal your own identity at the start, if I unmasked you too early, would that not be alerting the enemy? You and I have our own standings. I can't say that you were wrong for acting like that, but now that you're willing to give up the darkness for the light, I welcome it, of course. So, the way he had gone awu over and over again was him pretending to be an idiot that had fallen into a honey trap. The man before her had a smiling, handsome face with clear eyes. Where was that half-obsessed look from before? She was angry at heart. This was the first time she had discovered her own looks and allure to be ineffective, but she dared not blow up, because if she wanted to keep her life, she would have to rely fully on him from now on. Since you long knew of my identity, did you arrange for today's assassination? She had to clarify. He shook his head. Of course not. I only arranged for that poisoning incident from before, he added silently. With things come to this point and with how bright you are, why bother deceiving yourself? Since I knew your identity in advance, I was naturally able to intercept the information you sent out to prevent it from getting to Chen Luan. As a result, he couldn't keep waiting for word from you, and once he heard the outside rumors, he believed you actually betrayed him. Those assassins are the best proof of that. They failed to kill you this time, but they'll definitely think of a way to get to you again. The only leeway for your survival is for us to get decisive evidence against him soon, and thus bring him under law. Recalling that recent harrowing scene, Xiao Wu was still awfully frightened, but she didn't need to put on an act in front of Tang Fan anymore. No longer wanted to show timidity to him, she gritted her teeth hard. Even if you get the grains registry, it's no use. He's backed by the Wan Group and sends no lack of gifts to them yearly. They might even strive to protect him. You are smart, Miss Xiao, but you don't understand court intrigue. I told you before that he has little use to the Wan Group, and if he's not around, they could just make someone else the Wujiang magistrate. This is simple, and I have my own method, naturally. She was doubtful. What method? He smiled wordlessly, spreading out his hands. His implication was obvious: if you refuse to come clean, I'll throw you right out to face Chen Luan's wrath. See if he's willing to believe in you. During this time period, not only had Xiao Wu worked hard to put on an act, but he had, too, and it hadn't been in vain. Basically, everyone knew that he was infatuated with Xiao Wu. As gossip was a ferocious tiger, why would Chen Luan not believe it? If she didn't have Tang Fan's protection, the second she left this place, she would be shot through with arrows until she resembled a hedgehog. Beauties needed to be alive to arouse people's pity. A dead beauty was just a grave site. She had no other option. Xiao Wu pondered silently for a time. If I hand over the registry, what kind of protection can you give me, master? Tang Fan curbed his smile, speaking solemnly in a way she had never seen before. I, Tang Runking, swear on my own life and future that I will do all I can to ensure your safety. If I violate it, may 5 lightning strikes come down upon my head, giving me no sort of good death. She was slightly moved. People of this time period took oaths very seriously. Him making such an oath at least demonstrated his sincerity, and that he was a little superior to Chen Luan. How unfortunate it was that such a man wasn't lured by her. Xiao Wu peered at him with some sort of grievances. Chen Luan's grains registry was in the residence I had been settled in, but after I was sent out, he must have moved its position. Tang Fan creased his brow, faintly disappointed. If that was so, then why did Chen Luan still try to hunt her down and silence her? Sure enough, her words took a turn. But I can write the registry from memory. He was ecstatic. Are you serious? She smiled with some self-pride. Of course, I am. With looks alone, would Chen Luan have cherished me for so long? Or wanted me dead? How long would it take you to rewrite it? One night, she said, putting on no empty posturing. Just give me one night's time. Tang Fan clapped. All right. Given that we can successfully bring down Chen Luan, not only will your life be saved, but I can send you to a safe place where no one will know you, and give you a sum of money that will let you be worry-free for the rest of your life. Her eyes sparkled. Just like what Tang Fan had said, she had indeed previously been bought to be a concubine by a wealthy merchant. When said merchant had died, she had been driven out of his residence, then hidden in a cushy home by Chen Luan. However, while she liked wealth and splendor, she had no interest in serving him and his fickle nature and unstable personality. Do you not have feelings for me? Have you not thought of taking me as a concubine like Chen Luan did? Do my looks not entice you? She asked. Tang Fan smiled lightly. Your looks could topple a nation, Miss Xiao. I've rarely seen anything like you in my life. If I said my heart wasn't moved by them, would that not be me blatantly lying? There's likely no man under the sky that would dare to say such a thing to your face, is there? She felt a sweetness in her heart. Why don't you want me, then? She then said, displeased. My heart being moved doesn't mean my emotions have been, he said with a smile. Furthermore, those looks of yours being at my side will be nothing but misery for both you and I. Xiao Wu glared at him angrily. Truthfully speaking, she didn't have any affection for him. At most, she enjoyed his handsome, graceful face, and jade-like, orchid-like bearing, but her own beauty was something everyone would be hooked on, without exception, even with self-important men like Chen Luan. Kicking this iron plate that was Tang Fan really made her feel frustrated. She knew that the most important thing for her right now was simply to first be free of Chen Luan's grip, and save herself before anything else. I understand. Fetch me writing materials. In addition to that, I need a maidservant who can write to help me organize my recitation. Tang Fan nodded. What do you think of me doing so, Miss Xiao? She was stunned for a minute, then broke out into a lovely smile. There couldn't be anything better than you willingly humbling yourself so that we can collaborate, master. Once the insincere masks were gone and they could interact honestly, it was much easier for them to get along than before. Tang Fan no longer needed to behave like a clingy, infatuated man, and Xiao Wu no longer needed to conceal her identity and feel wronged about everything. She wasn't fond of him because of this, while his impression of her changed. He found that the woman had her own areas of excellence. One night passed. Neither slept with bags under their eyes, but they weren't doing anything unspeakable. One was reciting from memory, the other was organizing, until they managed to collate a grains registry. Xiao Wu claimed that she had a highly retentive memory, and that was no lie, as all of the accounting numbers from the registry had been firmly planted into her head. It was little wonder as to why Chen Luan was so panicked after suspecting that she had betrayed him, thus sending an assassin. It could be said that Tang Fan's evaluation of the man's psyche had been very on point. Even if Chen Luan hadn't sent anyone to kill Xiao Wu, Tang Fan's group had planned to fabricate another murder plot against her life after the poisoning incident, then frame Chen Luan for it to drive a rift between the two. That was no longer necessary, as Chen Luan had done it himself, causing her to fully come over to their side. This registry Tang Fan held recorded the true details of the government provisions exchange and proved that Hu Wenzao's previous statement had been correct. The granary once had 5,000 shi of provisions left, all of which had been taken away by Chen Luan, then sold to food merchants at high prices. At the end of it all, some old and spoiled provisions were sold at an extremely low price for use on the refugees. Such conduct, in the great ancestor's time, would have gotten him skinned and stuffed. Xiao Wu watched as a look of fury emerged on his face while he flipped through the registry. If this is passed to the capital, I'm afraid it'll take a while. Chen Luan certainly won't sit and wait for his fate before then. Correct. The one that answered her was not Tang Fan but De Han, who had pushed open the door. Zhang Qin, who walked in behind him, smiling. After your arrival yesterday, I found people to disguise as you and return to the post house as normal. As a result, people snuck in last night, planning to assassinate you, and we caught them in the act. Xiao Wu let out a gasp, a look of lingering fear on her face. Is it Chen Luan's people again? He nodded. Yes. What do we do now, then? Zhang Qinhu couldn't answer that question. In the room, there were 3 people with 3 pair of eyes, all of them looking at Tang Fan. He weighed the registry he held, smiled, and said 2 words, we wait. Xiao Wu's eyes widened. Wait for what? We have the registry, so why can't we take him down? Clearly, staying in the Jinyue post couldn't completely put her at ease. Tang Fan excluded, were anyone to be described as having not slept a wink and hoping that Chen Luan would be apprehended as soon as possible, they could only be her. It won't be for long. He gave her a calming smile. Things will come to a head soon. Meanwhile, for Chen Luan, days were passing like years, yet he itched for them to go even slower. Truthfully, things had gone completely out of control by now, and he couldn't quite understand how the situation had suddenly come to this. 2 pieces of bad news had come this morning. His uncle, the formerly all-powerful Nanjing Minister of Revenue, Chen Ji, had been denounced and had stepped down. The Wan group had not been able to defend him. The emperor had issued a decree, empathizing with his virtuousness, advanced age, and declining health. He told him to return home for recuperation. This sounded honorable but was actually a dismissal from his post. Chen Ji was finding it hard to defend himself, so he naturally couldn't care much about Chen Luan. Moreover, Chen Luan's low post meant that he couldn't directly contact the Wan group. He had relied on his uncle to build a bridge between them, and now that his uncle was gone, the sole link between them was broken. The second piece of bad news was that the people he had sent to silence Xiao Wu had failed. Not only was the woman not dead, but the assassins had been lost. Who knew how much they had revealed? At this point, he certainly couldn't hope that she would keep his secrets. If the grains registry hadn't been lost, or if his uncle hadn't lost power, Chen Luan wouldn't have been that worried, because he knew that coward, Hu Wenzao, couldn't cough up too much alone. Now that the situation was obviously disadvantageous to him, he was forced to plan his future acts. Within the magistrate's spacious rear hall, Chen Luan, 3 of his aides, and Yang Ji, the patrolling censor, sat in separate spots. Many people were here, yet everyone was silent. Yang Ji's heart was filled with burning worry. Seeing that everyone had turned into corked gourds, he had to say, "You should think of something to do." An aide lightly coughed, saying to Chen Luan, "Sir, with things like this, why not ask them for help?" Yang Ji quickly perked up his ears, but what he heard confused him. He didn't know who the other meant by them. Beneath everyone's expectant looks, Chen Luan slowly said, "I already contacted them. They're willing to help us." The three aides were overjoyed, but Yang Ji was still in the fog. "Brother Chen, what are you talking about?" Before he could finish, a servant of the Chens was seen to stumble in from outside. "Master, it's terrible. A large group of Jinyue suddenly arrived outside, and they've already surrounded the county bureau. You need to get out." Greatly shocked, Yang Ji quickly looked at Chen Luan. The latter just smiled coldly. Just in time. End chapter. The 14th year of Chenghua. Chapter 120. Tang the King Fan. Ever since he had helped Chen Luan with handing the bribe money to Tang Fan, Yang Ji had been a little regretful. To be blunt, Chen Luan had dashed into misfortune on his own and was now about to fight against an imperial ambassador. Why in the hell was he helping to clean up the mess? If Tang Fan's group was unable to topple Chen Luan and redirected their fury onto him, Chen Luan likely wouldn't stick his neck out for him. Yet, there was nothing Yang Ji could do. Chen Luan had already tied him onto his boat. Their individual fortunes might not be mutually reliant, but their misfortunes were bound to be shared. Were Chen Luan to fall off from his horse, those sordid affairs under his own rear were going to be brought up soon after, so he was obliged to stand on Chen Luan's side. After Tang Fan's arrival, the other hadn't made any major moves, neither turning hostile with Chen Luan nor refusing Yang Ji's bribe, instead hiding away in the post house without going out much. That had put Yang Ji at ease somewhat, thinking that Tang Fan's reputation spread far, but he was ultimately still too young. Not everyone could resist such a large sum of money. Furthermore, Chen Luan had later sent him a beauty, whose loveliness Yang Ji had witnessed. She could practically be stated to put the moon itself to shame. Had Tang Fan not taken the bait of such a huge amount of assets, that would really be unnatural. Yang Ji was merely a patrolling censor, not the local emperor, so his information wasn't as up to date as Chen Luan's. Hence was why today, while sitting here and listening to Chen Luan saying that Tang Fan had not only gotten Hu Wenzhou to switch sides but had even wiped out the 2 batches of assassins he had sent out, Yang Ji was a bit dazed. Chen Ji, the Nanjing Minister of Revenue, had been denounced and stepped down? Chen Luan had actually sent people to assassinate Tang Fan? The important bit there wasn't that, but rather that all who Chen Luan had sent had never come back. Tang Fan had only brought 4 people with him, 2 of which were from the Eastern Depot. What kind of backer did he have to be so safe and sound? That question now had its answer at last. Yang Ji followed behind everyone else out of the Wujiang bureau, then saw that there was a circle of Jinyue outside, each one holding sabers and looking like gods of murder. His legs immediately went soft, leaving him almost unable to stand. One of Chen Luan's aides quickly helped him up. Chen Luan glanced at him in disdain, then looked at the one that was coming from not too far away behind the Jinyue. As Tang Fan gradually approached like he was taking a casual stroll, the Jinyue parted down the middle to make a path for him. "I trust you've been well, Magistrate Chen," he greeted him, his tone similar to how he might ask, "Have you eaten breakfast yet?" "What is the meaning of this, Censor Tang?" With such decorated troops in such a large formation, this humble official fears that the bureau doesn't have enough bowls and chopsticks to treat them all with. Chen Luan was smiling lightly, not panicked in the least, an unknown amount of times more collected than Yang Ji. It made Tang Fan regard him a bit higher, but also made him realize that the other being so calm meant that he must have a backup plan. Tang Fan smiled. "You're too kind, Magistrate. There's no need to worry about food. This official came today to invite Censor Yang and yourself to come back with us and speak of past times. Will you all come with me on your own, or will you have these Jinyue brothers bring you over? If it's the latter case, it won't be very nice to witness." While he spoke, Zhang Qinhu strode over, stopped beside Tang Fan, and lowered his voice to warn, "Sir, this is likely not Chen Luan's full nest." Tang Fan nodded slightly, whispering back just as quietly, "We'll arrest first, then talk later." "What happened with what I asked you to do?" Zhang Qinhu smiled. "I haven't let you down. Suzhou's merchant society has already come under control and none of its people will escape." Tang Fan smiled back. "Good." De Han, who was actually Suzhou, had other official business to do, and making a special detour to Suzhou had been his absolute limit, which meant that he couldn't stay long. He had since left Suzhou to head for Jiangxi, making Zhang Qinhu fully responsible for cooperating with Tang Fan had aiding him in the final toss of the net. Chen Luan couldn't hear what they were saying, of course, but that didn't stop him from seeing the fully satisfied smiles on their faces. Gaze passing over them, it stopped on a woman in the back who was disguised as a man, though that couldn't cover up her beautiful features, and he instantly became overcast. He huffed out a laugh. "I can see that you're displaying your official power all of a sudden for some unknown reason, Censor Tang. I blame myself for not knowing a certain someone like I thought I did, as I didn't expect that she would go turncoat at the last second. Women will be women, they're long-haired, short-sighted, and cannot be trusted." After many years of being cowed, Xiao Wu was still a little fearful of Chen Luan, too afraid to make eye contact with him and even hiding a bit behind Tang Fan. As soon as she heard this, however, anger arose in her heart as revulsion brewed in her gut. "As I see it, you're the one that's short-sighted," she retorted. "Don't talk as if you have any deep affection for me. Was you taking care of me all those years not precisely to send me on assignments like this? With all those shameful things you exploited me to do before, everything I did for you was more than plenty to pay back what you spent on me. Huakui was with me for years, yet you killed her and tossed her in a well. I couldn't wrangle with you then, so I was too afraid to speak, but I remembered every single stroke of those debts. Also, your father's concubine, your sister-in-law, how many women have you sullied? Do you want to have a bit of honor, or do you want me to list each one of them? I'm willing to talk, so ask them if they're willing to listen." The area was silent. Everyone looked at Chen Luan in shock, each gaze different and expressions strange. Most men were loose, and having multiple concubines was commonplace, but if that involved their father's concubine or older brother's wife or similar woman, that would be disregarding natural human relations, making them inferior to an animal. Chen Luan was enraged. "What nonsense are you spouting, you whore?" Even though she was disguised, Xiao Wu twirled her hair out of habit, smiling. "I'm spouting nonsense? You getting so unscrupulous didn't happen in just a day or two. Is you deceiving the emperor and looking down upon the court anything strange?" Deeply hating her, yet thoroughly aware that now was not the time to have a battle of words with her, he forcefully suppressed his anger to speak to Tang Fan. "I am a court-appointed official. You want to search my bureau and take me away, but do you have a decree from the court for that, Censor Tang? I'm an imperial ambassador. I may act as I see fit." Chen Luan sneered. "But the court's order was only to investigate the conflict between me, Yang Ji and Hu Wenzhao, as well as conduct a mediation, not for you to come arrest me. Your actions feign imperial decree. I will not go with you." Tang Fan raised a brow. "You want to rebel? You're the one rebelling," Chen Luan shouted. "Moving the Jinyi in on your own is enough crime alone for you to suffer." Right as he finished, as if to echo him, a familiar voice came from nearby. "Correct. Tang Fan, you have no authority to bring Chen Luan away." Tang Fan's group looked towards the sound, then saw Zhang Pei and Wu Zong scrambling over with a small squadron. The Jinyi had posts set up in various areas, but the eastern depot had none. The troops the two wardens now led had been transferred over by defending supervisor Ma Xingfu. When defending supervisors had first been established, their authority had been limited to military affairs and could not meddle with the local government. However, they had later gradually upgraded and began to meddle in local politics. Despite not being affiliated with the Eastern Depot, as fellow eunuchs, how would they not have any contact with each other? Ma Xingfu was also a member of the Wan group, which was closely bound to the Eastern Depot and had Shang Ming's written command, hence was why he had loaned the warden's manpower. Watching them approach, Tang Fan didn't rush to give an order, his expression quite serene. In contrast, the others had needed to rush a bunch of people over from a long distance, spending no lack of energy, and currently looked a little exhausted and haggard as the previous words were repeated. Why, you have no power to arrest Chen Luan. Zhang who was on Suzhou's side, not Wantong's, so he wasn't going to be nice to these two. Bystanders have no power to question the Jinyue's handling of matters, he said, face cold. Having the gall to obstruct us is akin to rebellion. Oh, very majestic, Zhang. Why, am even I not allowed to question you? The one who had been half hidden behind them showed his face. Zheng Pei and Wu Zone quickly made way. They were not unwilling, instead being filled with smug energy, like they had foreseen their counterparts' poor luck. Zhang whose expression changed slightly. He cupped his hands reluctantly. You've graced us with your presence, eunuch Ma. Pardon me for not going to welcome you. Was the new arrival not Suzhou's defending supervisor, Ma Xingfu? Tang Fan and Zhang who had previously calculated that Chen Luan might move out rescue forces. Now that his uncle had since stepped down, only the Eastern Depot could help him. They hadn't expected Ma Xingfu to make a personal appearance. Chen Luan and Yang Ji represented Wujiang, while Tang Fan had come to arrest them, Zhang who was backing him with the Jinyue, and now even the Eastern Depot had arrived. It was like the 8 immortals crossing the sea, each path of immortal ending up at the same place. Ma Xingfu's appearance made today's situation even more complex and bizarre. It was good that Hu Wenzhao had a prior premonition and hid away in his bureau, refusing to show his face, else he would have been scared to death seeing this scene. Xiao Wu became nervous. She was not a peasant woman that had never seen the world before. She had believed that the Jinyue's abilities were great enough to completely crush Chen Luan, yet another tall mountain had come in the form of the Eastern Depot. If Tang Fan and the Jinyue gave in, allowing Chen Luan to escape this calamity, then the first person he would turn to and take revenge on would definitely be her. Could Tang Fan withstand the pressure? She glanced at the man before her. He was standing in the same way, hands behind his back, with even the energy he exuded remained unchanged. It was impossible for one to judge from his bearing whether he was actually afraid or not. Ma Xingfu was fat and his voice was slightly feminine. Such a fuss. What are you trying to do? His gaze landed upon Tang Fan. So, this is Censor Tang. After you came to Suzhou, I never got to see your face. Fate has let us meet today. He was greeting him on the surface, but his implication was that Tang Fan had been in Suzhou for a long time, yet had never paid him a visit. Defending supervisors had very heavy power. They could send memorials straight to the emperor, which made them similar to his eyes and ears. Even if the average official wouldn't want to befriend them, they also wouldn't want to make enemies of them and would at least pay them a visit out of courtesy. Both sides would put on a show, and face would be given. However, throughout his entire time at Suzhou, Tang Fan seemed to have overlooked Ma Xingfu. He hadn't even sent a gift, to say nothing of visiting himself. How could that not make Ma Xingfu inwardly seethe? Since you don't place importance on me, don't blame me for not giving you any face. Tang Fan had his own plans, of course. Upon hearing Ma Xingfu's words that were silk hiding steel, he only sneered. You're too kind, you're too kind. This Tang failed to be courteous, but I am on official business, making it unsuitable for me to pay visits all over the place, lest His Majesty hear of it and think me to not be taking my assignment seriously. When this assignment is done, I will prepare a generous gift of apology and bring it to your estate myself. No need. Ma Xingfu raised his voice to the point that it sounded a little shrill. I'm unworthy of it? The other nodded and said, all right, then. Today's meeting will be regarded as such, and this Tang will no longer visit you at a later date. Having never met someone that looked down upon him so much before, Ma Xingfu's nose went crooked in anger. Good, 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 he said in quick succession. You really are out of the ordinary, Censor Tang. Thank you for your excessive praise. Tang Fan smiled warmly at him, then turned serious. I was dispatched to handle this case, so I request that you keep out of the way, Eunuch Ma, lest you accidentally be injured. Come, arrest Chen Luan and Yang Ji, then raid this place. How dare you? Ma Xingfu raged. No one is allowed to move without my order. Tang Fan raised a brow. You are the defending supervisor of Suzhou, yet you want to overstep your authority in commanding the Jinyiwei. Tang Fan, you were ordered to come resolve a conflict, yet you made movements in private. How could you, a left metropolitan censor, have the power to dispatch the Jinyiwei? Ma Xingfu said darkly. Zhang Qinhu, the Jinyiwei is the emperor's defense, responsible for finding information for him and arresting wrongdoers, yet you are colluding with Tang Fan. Is that not a plot to rebel? Huh. Yang Ji gradually came back to himself. Seeing the smug grin at the corner of Chen Luan's mouth, then turning his gaze to Tang Fan and Ma Xingfu as they faced off, he came to understand that Chen Luan had long prepared for this. The support he relied upon was the Eastern Depot, and he was able to invite Supervisor Ma to make his own appearance. It was no wonder that he felt no fear hearing that Tang Fan was coming. However, would Tang Fan fall back so easily? Yang Ji hoped so, of course, else Chen Luan would be unlucky, and he, himself, wouldn't be getting off any better. Everyone's thoughts differed. The situation was on the verge of a breakout. After Ma Xingfu's statement, it immediately became more tense. Zhang Qinhu's expression was grave. His gaze was fixed upon Ma Xingfu, hand quietly gripping the hilt of his saber, as if waiting for Tang Fan's word. Still, if there was any room to come back from this, he certainly didn't want things to come to that point. Faced with Ma Xingfu's questioning of him, Tang Fan responded with a calm smile. Eunuch Ma, what is right and wrong, black and white, is a matter of public opinion. A portion of Chen Luan's bribery has already been presented to His Majesty, and I also have evidence of him secretly selling government provisions. As an imperial ambassador, I naturally have the authority to arrest him and take him back for interrogation. Will it be worth it to risk sacrificing your future in helping him? Ma Xingfu laughed loudly. Tang Fan, don't go thinking that I'll fear you because you mentioned your title of imperial ambassador. To tell the truth, I currently hold an order passed on by His Majesty and the cabinet. Before you came to Suzhou, it was already in my hands, instructing me to monitor you in secret, lest you use your power to do something you shouldn't be doing. Saying so, he brought out a written document from a pocket, offering it to Tang Fan. If you don't believe it, how about you read it with your own eyes? Zhang Qinhu had someone take it? After examining it himself, he passed it to Tang Fan, whispering while he was at it, "Sir, it's real." Truthfully, there was no need for Tang Fan to read it to know that it was real. Not everyone had the gall to forge something like an imperial order, and Ma Xingfu wasn't tired of being alive, so why would he get a fake one to swindle Tang Fan? Judging from the date on it, it was as he had claimed. At the same moment Tang Fan had arrived at Suzhou, this order had reached Ma Xingfu, turning into a tool now used to control Tang Fan. Zhang Qinhu became a little restless. Ma Xingfu having such an order was tantamount to him being in an invincible position. With the preparations they had, they would likely have to admit defeat. He just feared that Tang Fan, in a moment of impetuousness, would not care, arrest Chen Luan regardless, and have them all turn hostile with Ma Xingfu. No one spoke at present, all watching for Tang Fan's reaction. Some were smug, while some were just nervous. Tang Fan took the order, took a very long time to carefully read it through, then ended it with passing it back to Chenghua, telling him to return it to Ma Xingfu. The latter grinned. Censor Tang, no matter how long you draw this out, it's useless. Why, have you determined if it's real or false yet? Tang Fan looked calm. Of course it's real. How could you fabricate an imperial order? Ma Xingfu smiled in satisfaction, beckoning with a chubby hand. Then you're withdrawing, yes. If anything's amiss, you may as well come to the supervisor estate to speak of it. Tang Fan shook his head. Chenghua. Sir. Tang Fan lifted his chin, gesturing at where Chen Luan's group was. Arrest them. Ah. Not only was he taken aback but even Ma Xingfu flew into a violent rage. Tang Fan, you dare to ignore the order. Whoever dares to move is who I will arrest. In an instant, his troops armed with blades came forward in succession, protecting Chen Luan's group in front to form a showdown with the Jinyue. The two sides glared at each other, swords drawn, about to explode. Ma Xingfu had brought no fewer people than Chenghua, but the two sides had both been defenders of Suzhou, and were now enemies over whether to catch a county magistrate or not. It was quite a bit comical, when one thought about it. Chen Luan sneered on the inside, only thinking that Tang Fan was completely courting disaster. This fuss he was kicking up being reported to the emperor would inevitably be a crime of ignoring imperial will and neglecting the monarch. To be quite serious, dismissal from his post and exile were both possibilities. Ma Xingfu, and the order he held, were Chen Luan's secret weapons. He had not revealed them before now because this move was extreme, and if possible, he hadn't wanted to have a fallout with Tang Fan. Unexpectedly, the other could not be persuaded, insistent upon digging him up, forcing him back step by step. Using a game of the upper echelons, he had taken the drastic measure of taking down Chen Luan's uncle. Such was why Chen Luan had been out of ideas, and needed to request help from the Eastern Depot and Ma Xingfu. The imperial order was the equivalent of an imperial decree. Even the Jinyue couldn't violate it, yet Tang Fan still wanted to arrest them by force. How could that not be courting death? Ma Xingfu, Chen Luan, and Yang Ji have deceived the emperor. The evidence is conclusive, and justice is upon them, yet you still aid them. What is your intent? Tang Fan asked. He called out his name directly, not as eunuch Ma, as if he was overlooking the imperial order and wanting to face off against him. Chen Luan, Yang Ji, and even Chenghua couldn't help but look at him like he was insane. Chenghua was even more nervous. His future was basically tied with Tang Fan. If the latter courted death, he wouldn't be able to escape, either. Sir. He couldn't resist tugging Tang Fan's sleeve. How about we take a step back and talk more on it later? He has an imperial order, after all. My standpoint is mine alone. You just follow my orders, and I will bear all of the responsibility. The other smiled bitterly on the inside. Prior to his departure, Suzhou had told him to listen to Tang Fan's every instruction, with no dissent whatsoever. Now, that was being put to the test. Screw it. If I die, I die. This man's throwing caution to the wind. He gritted his teeth, then shouted, "Brothers, arrest them." Ma Xingfu was shocked and enraged, also shouting out, "Stop them. If you encounter resistance, do not hesitate to kill." Right as the word kill left his mouth, the quickest reacting warden had already raised his saber to hack at the Jinyue in front of him. In that moment of imminent peril, a clang was heard. The saber he held did not slash his opponent but instead went flying into the sky. At the same exact time, a squadron madly galloped over from far away. Their leader was in python robes and a black cloak, holding his reins in one hand and his saber in another. What had just happened appeared to have been his doing. After the object that had hit the saber landed on the ground, everyone saw that it was a jade thumb ring. The two sides were separated by a huge distance, and he was still riding a horse. Still being able to hit it meant that he had extraordinary vision and skills. Everyone was so startled by that move, they temporarily forgot about the imminent fight, only able to watch the group draw near as it kicked up dust. Ma Xingfu was squinting, very unhappily trying to see what divinity was incoming, but after getting a good look at him, his complexion abruptly changed. "What are you trying to do? Are you rebelling?" The one in the python robe surveyed his surroundings, then suddenly laughed coldly. Not even dismounting, he looked down upon his counterpart. "Ma Xingfu, the older you get, the more you regress. You're not being a good supervisor, running off to stick your hands into whatever local politics there are." Ma Xingfu's expression was a bit unsightly. "What winds blew you here?" Anyone that could make this defending supervisor change his pallor out of fright was no minor figure. Everyone was aware of that. However, none of them dared to speak first without knowing whether he was a friend or foe. Right then, though, Tang Fan said, "You're finally here. You made me wait a good bit. You're calling me slow." Wang Ji was not happy. "This one here set out the second I got word, traveling both day and night. Thanks to the canals, I only took a few days. I wasn't slow." Hearing the two's familiar tones, how could Chen Luan not understand? Tang Fan had reinforcements. "Eunuch Ma," he quickly said. His implication was for Ma Xingfu to quickly resolve what was happening right now, so that the opponent didn't strike first. The reminder was unnecessary, as Ma Xingfu also understood. He glared at Wang Ji. "Eunuch Wang, I am acting under imperial order. Please don't obstruct official business." Wang Ji sneered. "Do you think I came from the capital to talk about old times with you?" Tang Fan, receive this edict. As soon as that was said, every last person was alarmed aside from Tang Fan, who was the most collected, making a great bow of honor. "This subject will hear it. The emperor has made a statement. Tang Fan has gained the title of Right Assistant Minister of Justice and will hold it in tandem with his assignments as a left metropolitan censor. He is also ordered to investigate the Suzhou case. All officials with records of corruption can be denounced according to verified truth, and handled at his discretion." The order was exceedingly simple, lacking those common prefixes that would embellish the wording but that just made them hear the two most important points better. One was his second title of Right Assistant Minister of Justice. That signified that Tang Fan's current post of left metropolitan censor was still held, not removed, yet he also held the rank of Right Assistant Minister. The censor post was a true fourth rank, while the assistant minister post was true third rank. In other words, Tang Fan was now a major official of true third rank, and when other people addressed him, they would generally have to call him Mr. Minister to show their respect. This dual post situation was not uncommon in this dynasty, because his assistant minister post was not a real post but an empty title. For example, Wang Yu used to be in the inspectorate yet held the title of minister. Thus, strictly speaking, Tang Fan was now still doing inspectorate work but his rank had raised a whole level. Still, the significance of that level was great, as in this way, it would be much easier for him to turn the empty title into a real one, and become a genuine assistant minister of justice. Also, he now had the qualifications to enter the cabinet. The second thing, was that he could handle things at his discretion. That sentence had much stronger implication. Plainly speaking, it allowed him to act first and present memorial later. Thus, if Tang Fan's promotion had still not been able to make Chen Luan's group feel threatened, Wang Ji's final statement certainly made the complexions of those present changed. Who could have expected that Tang Fan would have such a backup plan? No one, that was who. The gaze that Zhang Qinhu looked at Tang Fan with completely changed. Xiao Wu too, now understood why Tang Fan had told her to wait before. As it was, he had been waiting for exactly this decree. End chapter.